Welcome to Everyday Economics, a podcast that helps you learn about the economic world happening around you every day. I'm your host, Chris Krug, president of the 501c3 nonprofit Franklin News Foundation. Everyday Economics is a production of America's Talking Network. You can check out all of our great podcasts at americastalking.com. To support podcasts such as this one, please make your tax-deductible charitable contribution by clicking the link in the show description. We're recording this episode on Thursday, December 8th, and joining me as always is my dear friend and the smartest guy that I know, Dr. Orphe Divounguy. He's a PhD economist. You and some of your buddies over at Zillow published this piece this week about the 10 best places for first-time home buyers to lay down that dollar and get themselves into their own place. Interesting list. There are a couple places on here where I've I even have lived. And some places that I might think about living. But there's a lot of places on here that the average person would go, you got to be joking, brother. So talk to me about this list. And I mean, no offense to anybody that lives in any of these towns. They're all terrific places. Don't get me wrong. But they're just not exactly, in the grand scheme of like, hey, Arizona and the Valley, or Boise, Idaho, or Austin, Texas, or someplace in Florida or the Carolinas.
Or New York.
Or New York, or Seattle, Washington. Those places are not on this list. This is like the secret list.
It is the secret list. Let me tell you what goes into this list. The most important thing, I think, for first-time home buyers today is being able to afford the place they live in, right? And so rent affordability went into the mix. Lower rent allows you to save for a down payment. And so affordability being the number one challenge for home buyers today in today's housing market, places that are relatively more affordable are going to fare better in 2023.
Well, let me go through the list, and then you can amplify on this. So your number one market that's being recommended, Wichita, Kansas. Number 2, Toledo, Ohio. Number 3, Syracuse, New York. 4, Akron, Ohio. 5, Cleveland, Ohio. Looks like you guys got stuck in Ohio there. 6, Tulsa, Oklahoma. 7, Detroit, Michigan. 8, the beautiful city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. 9, St. Louis, Missouri. And 10, Little Rock, Arkansas. So these are not necessarily garden spots. These are not the places that I think a lot of people would aspire as they're thinking about, wouldn't it be great to live in fill in the blank. I've never heard anybody say, wouldn't it be great to live in Little Rock, Arkansas? I've never heard anybody say that. Then again, it is a beautiful little town, mid-sized city. And is that what's kind of, similar among this list?
Look, it's affordability. Affordability is the key factor here. But there are other factors as well, right? So like you have higher inventory, right? Because you don't have a lot of shoppers in those markets, you have higher inventory relative to the number of shoppers there, which give potential home buyers much more bargaining power and the ability to drive down prices, to get some price cuts and bargains. That's also part of what goes into that list. Those are also markets that are not expected to see a large price decline going forward. In fact, some of them might even see a little jump in prices going into 2023, which would allow these first-time home buyers to accumulate, to gain a little bit of equity. So yeah, this is kind of how we compose the list. Now, it's that time of the year where we look at 2022 and we look at the challenges the markets faced in 2022, and we start to think about, how do we position ourselves for 2023, And so we came together and made some predictions about 2023. First one being the Midwest, being front and center. We got 6 metros in the Midwest on that list. These are markets that are relatively more affordable, where people will have an easier time getting on that first rung of the housing ladder. The idea that maybe, buying friends and family members will tend to buy together to deal with affordability challenges. That might be a thing going into 2023. And I think the good news is, with so many units under construction in many of the large cities, and with inflation coming down, affordability might actually stabilize. We may actually, instead of continuing to see, affordability getting worse and worse, in 2023, I think affordability might actually stabilize somewhat, providing a window of opportunity for those who are still waiting on the sidelines and who are right there on the margins and really want to make that home purchase?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm a housing nerd, and I never get upset when you want to talk about housing stuff. And this is a terrific story, and lists are always interesting. I know some of these markets, and one of the decisions that I always, or one of the pieces that I always consider inside of a bigger decision is, especially around where to live, is property taxes, right? So, Wichita, Kansas, the relative on this list, I think property taxes there are very, very good versus a place like Syracuse, New York.
That's
Toledo,
right.
the homes in Ohio, or the locations in Ohio, Toledo, Akron, and Cleveland, actually for metropolitan markets, not so bad from a property tax standpoint.
Not only that, but they also have a growing infrastructure. They have some good local employers. You have a couple big universities in the Midwest as well, right? And so, all of these factors are going to benefit the locals, people in the area, but also people who are maybe wanting to get away from the coast and who are working remotely and just want more space and want to afford have a little bit more for their money.
Yeah, well, I think that there's in this list, which is extremely diverse, you can see opportunities like that, and the kinds of houses that are available in these markets, I think, are fascinating. I mean, especially you can get into a city like, Syracuse. Of course, that's a more expensive place to live. But what else would you say brings this list together? What are the other considerations or factors that went into creating this list?
That's it. It's bargaining power. It's where can I go as a first-time home buyer who has been priced out by bidding wars in the past 2 years. Where can I go? Now that mortgage rates are, hovering around 6.5%, where can I go where my housing cost is still going to be considered affordable, meaning a third or less than my monthly income? And those are the places.
Well, I really like this list, and I appreciate that. You can check that story out at Zillow. Headline on that, 10 best measures for first-time home buyers in 2023 for Orphe Divounguy. This has been Chris Krug. Subscribe to Everyday Economics and dozens of other quality podcasts at americastalking.com.